Experiential education is a philosophy that informs many methodologies in which educators purposefully engage with learners in direct experience with a strong focus on reflection in order to increase knowledge, develop skills, clarify values, and develop people's capacity to contribute to their communities. Emphasis is also placed on the role of instructor as someone who learns alongside the students. Two key figures that contributed to this methodology are John Dewey and Kurt Hahn. Dewey called for experiential education in the classroom as early as the start of the 20th century, and Hahn founded several experimental schools in Europe, including the Outward Bound program, which is a worldwide experiential education program dedicated to the outdoors. Another popular model of experiential education is Kolb's learning cycle. As you can see here, the cycle is made of 4 parts: concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. Given an extremely brief background on experiential education's key figures and components, I found there to be interesting parallels between experiential education and the film Ferris Bueller's Day Off. In this PechaKucha, I make my case as to why Ferris' skipping of school is actually an educational experience because it follows Kolb's learning cycle. Ferris fits the role of instructor, the exploration of Chicago is exemplary of place-based learning, and Cameron's reflection offers testimony on how experiential education opportunities are impactful in people's lives, not just their education. I'd like to take a second to reintroduce our characters for anyone unfamiliar with the film. From left to right is Ferris, Sloan, and Cameron. Sloan is Ferris' girlfriend, Cameron is his best friend who has relationship problems with his dad, and Ferris is the brilliant mastermind that fakes sick and skips school without his parents knowing. Ferris himself steps into the role of instructor in the film as he asks his friend reflective questions throughout the experience as he guides their adventure through Chicago. Ferris also portrays the average instructor in his commentary. While humorous, it actually offers sound advice, such as how one should believe in himself and not an ism, in the ever-famous "life moves pretty fast" quote. Ferris, who skipped school 8 other times, has a wealth of knowledge on how to not get caught. Ferris prompts Cameron to call posing as Sloan's dad to sign her out of school, and the group works together to not get busted skipping school throughout the day. This creative, clever display of thinking exemplifies new skills learned and tested in the active experimentation sect of the learning cycle. Ferris and his friends fulfill the concrete experience aspect of the cycle as they engage in activities around Chicago. They eat at Chez Cuit, visit the Mercantile Exchange, the Art Institute, and a Cubs game. The Art Institute trip alone is experiential education to the core because the trio get to study Picasso's paintings in person instead of reading about them from a textbook. Another example of experiential education that takes place is place-based learning, in which the physical location and its unique cultural attributes are studied. Visiting these spots in Chicago allow for the friends to learn about their home area and gain a new appreciation for it. For example, they wouldn't be exposed to the Von Steuben Day Parade or a Chicago Cubs game in the classroom. With this said, there's nothing wrong with a traditional classroom setup. The movie makes it clear that the experiential education should be incorporated because it encourages creativity and critical thinking throughout more meaningful opportunities and doesn't leave people drooling on the desks. Now to reflection. Cameron starts out as reserved, shy, and constantly making comments about how terrible his father is, but as the movie and experience progress, he begins to loosen up and be carefree. His enjoyment of these feelings turned to shock after finding his dad's beloved Ferrari with a couple hundred extra miles on it that leaves him in a catatonic state. Once out of the trance, Cameron reflects on his life. He no longer is afraid and is going to confront his father. Cameron aggressively kicks the car, resulting in it crashing into the woods below. Despite about to face the worst trouble of his life, Cameron wants to take a stand, saying it's time for him and his father to have a chat. This scene emphasizes the reflection with an uplifting crescendo and gradual zoom in on Cameron's face that marks his newfound confidence. Following Cameron's transformation and plan to open a dialogue with his dad, the active experimentation piece of the cycle will be fulfilled. The experience ends as Ferris rushes home to finish his sickness charade for his parents. He has successfully created an educational experience, and I argue he has gained the support of his community by doing so, as displayed on water tanks and billboards. As you can see, Ferris Bueller's Day Off can be classified as an experiential education film. Ferris guides the experience as instructor, but also learns from his friends. Chicago's cultural institutions like the Art Institute or the Von Steuben Day Parade become a place for learning. And finally, Cameron's reflection is a testament to what experiential education can do for someone's confidence when pushed out of their comfort zone. I hope this presentation has been somewhat informative on experiential education and that you can use this lens to appreciate Ferris Bueller's Day Off in a new light. Because at the end of the day, none of you probably remember your lesson in something DOO voodoo economics, but you do remember a field trip or service project that not only taught you about a subject, but also taught you valuable life lessons, helped you to grow as a person, and realize that life does move pretty fast, and you should stop and look around once in a while so that you don't miss it.